Are we ready? We'll put on. You hear? Yeah, I don't hear my voice, but yes.
Is it on?
Yeah, it should be on. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. I prefer not to sit with you guys because I prefer to keep feeling the tension. But so I hope you like this setup. So can someone close it? Yes. Thank you very much. Let's wait for a second. There you go. So, well, thank you for being here. I guess you are interested in the topic of AI and its role in game creation. I feel okay. I really need to do this, right? So I'm the moderator of this panel. My name is Pietro Faccio. I'm the founder of Magic Partner, and I'm here today. We were supposed to be four, but someone unfortunately forfeited simply because I had like a personal problem. So I'm here today with Nikolai, cloud engineer at Google Cloud. Correct? Yes, I'm reading, so I shouldn't be making mistakes. And then we have the co-founder of Moonlit, with guess what? Is written here, Nikita. Hello, welcome. Do you mind closing the door? Mind closing the door? Thank you very much. Fair enough. Yeah, come sit in the front. And then we have Dori, who's also the CEO of Finetuners. I will ask them to give a little intro of themselves, just like a quick one. And then I think myself, I said it already again before. So do you mind giving a little intro about yourself, who you are, how old are you? No, if you want to skip. Please, starting from Nikolai?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
On?
No. Want to go for this?
Yeah, okay, no, it's fine now. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm Nikolai. I'm working with Google Cloud for quite some time already, going to be 3 years next week. My background personally is in software engineering for many years, so I've seen a lot of weird stuff. And yeah, I'm close to my 40s.
Yeah?
Pretty much it.
Close to means like you're still young.
Yeah, I still have like 2 years left.
Still
Slightly
happy.
less.
Still happy, bro.
Yeah. I've been working for quite some time with new Gen AI stuff in the context of gaming. So hopefully we will touch on some interesting points in this panel discussion.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Nikita.
I'm Nikita. I'm working in gaming and specifically in mobile gaming for around 15 years now. Mostly I was responsible for art directing projects, so finding the identity, the visual solution for the game to hit a specific audience. That was kind of my passion. And of course it involves the building of the pipelines and how the things are produced. So right now Gen AI really affects even the process of thinking behind how to produce the game. And this is why I'm really interested in this topic.
Thank you very much. And Dori?
Yes, so 15 years as well, almost in the mobile game space. It's a long time.
Yeah. It still doesn't say how old are you, but
After taking 3 flights here, I feel like I'm 75. I'm slightly younger. And,
because you come from Israel, right? That's why it's a little bit hard.
Tel Aviv, and I have 2 companies. One of them is it's a school, actually teaches game development, and the other is Finetuners, where we conduct art pipelines for gaming companies. We work with big companies like Playtica, Papaya, and yeah, that's why.
Okay, thank you very much. So to start with, since we're talking about AI, I decided that we're gonna make a little introduction to the topic, and I asked guess who to write it for us. I think it's quite poor, but let's go for it. So it's like, welcome everyone. This is what I'm supposed to say. So I'm impersonating ChatGPT. I don't know if it's ChatGPT, but something. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this discussion on the impact of AI in game development. Yay, applause. We all know that AI is revolutionizing the way we create, play, and interact with games. From enhancing creative processes to optimizing technical aspects like scalability, AI is making waves across the entire industry. Today, we'll explore different perspectives on how AI is changing the game creation landscape, and we'll also dive into some real-world examples from our amazing panelists. Let's get started! Exclamation mark, two exclamation marks. So, and I also would like to do something with you if you agree. I would say let's make it a little bit more interactive, and instead of leaving time in the end for asking questions, raise your hand, and you can, we can give you the microphone, or you can just speak loud. And I mean, it's like 4 cats here and 2 dogs, so let's just go for that. Raise your hand and let's interact, so we don't need to go back and forth at the end. What do you think? You prefer like that, or you prefer at the end? You have a question, or?
Yeah. Can you present yourself as well? Talk about yourself.
Let's see someone who was paying attention. I'm.
How much do you pay? Seriously.
Yeah, hey, later. It was just a cigarette. But no, Magic Partner, I founded Magic Partner, and we help developers and publishers to through the process of selecting and finding a new partner, so new vendors, new service providers, you call it the way you want. I do that process for you professionally, and also help you basically to save money, because I do that selection and the negotiation in the end, which unfortunately almost no one in game development is actually able to do it, because they just simply don't know how to do it. So that's my company, started very recently after 20 years of working in the service provider part of this whole thing. So let's start, okay? So I want to ask one question per person, so we're not gonna go one question for everyone. We have lots of time, so we can dive into, or as AI would say, we can delve into the, yeah?
Exactly.
We saw the names, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Dori, I would like to start with you, yeah? You've worked extensively with AI modeling, of course, because of the work that you do, and also led many workshops on AI game development. So from your experience, what do you think? So how is AI transforming creative decision-making in game design, right? And also if there are any areas where AI excels, that's actually, I think, is very important. So do you think there is somewhere where AI excels and areas where human creativity still can't be replaced, which I think is the case for now? Let's see.
Okay, so you discussed game design. Basically, what I know is mobile game design. It's slightly different than console and PC. And what I definitely see is that, for example, narrative-based games that were not being very lucrative because it has like a huge amount of art needs to be created, is now being much more simple to make. So whenever a company has a good hunch about a story, narrative-based game, they can actually go and pursue it. And we saw that a lot in the past 2 years. AI excels at imitating other artists, and it does it better. When we started, started out...
You said it does it better?
Yeah, it does it better.
Okay.
Because when I started out 15 years ago, all the artists had these mood boards, and they just copied other games' art. Okay, here is, I don't know, a royal match or gardenscapes, and this is the art we're going for, and they have it in the mood board, and then they try their best to imitate it, and it comes off. AI does it better, so basically, it just stole all the art, and now you can build on it and create much, much faster. The question remains is how you can keep your own creative inside and not just rip somebody else's work. And I think that this is going to be the true challenge, because everyone can now generate art like this. How can you actually be on top of that and be noticeable? So this is the main issue, the main challenge that I see right now.
So okay, but you think that we are at a position now, and then also but maybe I can extend this question to this thing you really need to put it in my mouth for this to work.
Sure.
Yeah. but without even touching on the philosophical aspect of what art is, because I think that you immediately, there's a slippery slope there where you just have to must end up in the philosophical thinking of, okay, what is art? Art is generating something completely new, which is something that the AI and the machine are not capable of doing. If that's true, then how much of the art that we see nowadays is actually art and is not just reproducing something out of your knowledge? So without even getting into that conversation, but if you want to, we can even talk about that.
No, let's keep it.
It's like, so currently, what is, maybe I fail to understand, what is the concrete things that we feel that AI does better? It's just like repetition, time, like iterations. What is exactly that you feel that
Okay,
is
so as of now, 2D assets are a very strong suit of AI, because this is the first thing that they were being able to do, and they do it very well. So when you look at the pipeline of a mobile game, even if it's 3D, you have a lot of pipelines that are 2D, naming monetization assets, live ops, social assets, marketing materials, deals are all in 2D. And now, people that are not artists or not designers, they have the power to do these designs themselves. So, like Canva really democratized design, because Photoshop is a very convoluted software to work with. Now, anybody from monetization, like monetization manager, she has an idea, and she can go and with AI, she can produce not only the sketch or the brief, she can actually produce the final art. And this is like a huge power that we did not have only a year ago. So it excels at this. Now, video is starting to look good with Runway Gen 3 and Luma and Minimax and all these generators. It's actually being used in production right now. And you have tools for lip dub and syncing. So this is also very, very good. At the end of the day, it's just a tool that accelerates creation, nothing more.
So you think that, and that's for the three of you, like feel free if you want to say.
Can I add?
Yes, please go on.
So, Dore touched on an interesting point. Like there is a challenge in all of this, right? Because right now, everyone can create anything. So if before, Gardenscapes was successful in a way because they have very powerful content team that could produce this content. And if you want to compete with them, you would need to pour a lot of money into art production to make it work. But right now, any small team can catch up with Homescapes on the quality of art that they produce. So essentially, if your game is really simple in terms of gameplay, then there will be even more competition, especially in casual space, because everything became so reproducible. The market will not get easier. Production will be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that kind of it was a good insight. Do you think that currently, the way we are today, or let's say within the next year, are we already in a situation where a creative team, of junior creators, are actually capable of doing some real good work and put something meaningful, valuable, if we're talking about a game, of course, already out there in the market, being a junior team and just using, extensively the AI power?
Yeah, sure, but seniors will do it better.
Yes.
Seniors will do it better.
Well, because whenever you produce anything, whatever project or product you build, you can reach certain quality of execution, but to see the overall picture, the just ability to zoom out and see the big picture of what you're doing, to imagine the game, the product as a whole, for this you need a bit more knowledge, and this knowledge you cannot get just from the book, you need to get it from production. So essentially, anyone who is skillful in their craft, or especially in understanding their product, will succeed more than junior. So when we're talking about execution of a single image, junior will be able to execute amazing art. But when you think in the context of the product, then you need more knowledge about what you're doing.
That's interesting. So let me take it from I took it from one side, I will take it from the other, from upside down now. So do you think, and this could be of course something that you might not like, but then do you think that then seniors, so senior creators or artists are all we need now. And because like if seniors together with AI can do excellent work, the work we really want, how much of junior level artists we're gonna need in the future, for example, or at present?
Somebody has to fix artifacts.
Okay, please.
I think there is, you can imagine this with, because the production became easier, everybody just got a promotion. You know, you've been, I don't know, a regular artist, well now you need to kind of act as a senior artist. You've been a senior artist, now you need to become an art director. You've been an art director, now you need to become a creative director and so on.
Yes, exactly.
Because you just have more power in execution. Of course, there will be like smaller teams, but essentially at some point you're still running out of people who can like review all the art, especially in art production. You still need eyes, like extra eyes to just check whether it's intact or not. So yeah, kind of like curating art, quality, fixing artifacts, there will be always a job. Maybe not in the next few years.
Yeah, because
we just have too many people right now involved in production, and they would need to be redistributed.
He has a question, actually.
Oh, yes, please. You want a microphone or you just speak loud?
I can speak loudly.
I
will be. Please don't throw it at me. I was going to be a little bit controversial and just say right now, or at the moment, we probably never need any juniors anywhere. It's just you need juniors to keep an industry alive for the future. That's, of course, like if you have the amount and volume of work, then you need that kind of support, but we are in an oversaturated market. As we had it in the mobile games talk, the mobile games are not a blue market anymore. It's like that with everything. We have a plethora of games coming over from different cultures and other continents. So my question would be, isn't it just the same discussion as with every time we have a revolutionizing tool that is a new tool, that is a great thing, in the hands of the right people? You can do amazing things. People are afraid that a new tool that is powerful will make their job worth less. But then in the end, it's about how can you use it to make something that is even better and even greater. And I think the only difference we have right now is that this tool is not more expensive, less accessible, but it's the first time we have an incredibly powerful thing that pretty much everyone can use for $10.99 per month. So, but then again, like, juniors using it will probably not use it in the same way because they don't understand the problem as well as a senior or director. And it's, as long as it's still a tool, you need understanding for the problem, right?
But exactly, this is what I'm talking about. We would not need just junior artists anymore because just producing art is not a thing. So we would need, let's say, UX designers because somebody still needs to design the experience, and this person would be also needing like to create art assets pretty much. So it will be kind of everything should be perceived right now as a bigger thing. You're not just making an asset. You always build in some parts of experience or part of the product, and basically it's like a product manager with a art, production. Like this is a job description pretty much.
Yeah, I think that actually you summarized it really well. I don't believe that this is going to eliminate any roles in that sense, especially the junior ones. I think they will just be transformed into something else. So merged. Imagine like a, washing machine and a dryer, and it's going to be like a washing machine dryer at the same time. And
it's more shifty rather than loosey.
Yeah, definitely. Probably some roles will change, role descriptions. I don't know who's going to be 3D artist / icon animator / something else, something ridiculous. But yeah, we'll have to come up with new names for that. But I believe that actually junior people will have more empowerment in terms of tooling than previously. But once again, as you said, it's yet another tool that is extremely overhyped in my opinion. It's very powerful, but it's just overhyped. And hype is slowly decaying, and now you can actually see the objectively productive things that can be done with it. Yeah.
But still, if you had a process, an art process of creating a meta game room, and it took 4 weeks, and now it takes 2 days, somebody had to lose their jobs.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. It's just because your process, not your academic study, because the process was not adapted to the new reality, like with everything else. Whenever there is a new tool coming out, be it in tech or industry and so on, it usually optimizes processes. And this process, like, originally has to be re-optimized to make room for other people to do something, either requalify a little bit or somehow use of their time to either produce more or, I don't know, something along those lines. I don't believe that it's like elimination of the...
I think there is a lot of elimination there. So if we think about like some of the art production that I've been part of, we have had, let's say, a 15 artist team in-house producing game content. This was outsourced to 3 other studios, which was actually producing the final art. So we had kind of like, we tried to keep the creative part inside the studio, in-house, and then the kind of board execution outside. Well, which means that outside of those 15 artists, there were around like 120 artists somewhere else doing the job. Right now, we can just keep 40 artists, let's say, to produce all of it with AI. So,
but here you're optimizing for cost.
But this is also like, it's not only, our company was doing that. Like other companies will do the same. So essentially, people who are working in those outsourcing powerhouses, they would need to reinvent themselves.
Exactly, yeah, that's the whole point. Reinventing will have to happen.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know, the way I see it is that from the mathematical point of view, there's gonna be a loss. If we're gonna talk about loss of jobs, I don't even didn't want to really drive into this one. But if we're talking, it's not. I think we need to use like different terminologies. Not loss of jobs, but readaptation, right? As in, of course, if today, as you said, there are going to be the need for less junior positions, I think that then less people will actually study to do that specific type of job. So it's more about like readapting what people will decide to do, because nowadays there is plenty of requests, or until like a couple of years ago there was a huge request for creators, right, for artists, and nowadays is shifting towards, okay, the senior ones are actually the one that we really want because they can control the machine, and together with the machine they can do amazing work, plus 1 or 2 juniors as opposed to the 15 that we had before. But of course, I think that those people, so nowadays if you're thinking to go and study in school like that type of, for that type of industry, in that type of job specifically, maybe you will think twice, because the need is no longer there for that type of numbers, for that type of scale that we had before. So that's the way I see it. I see they're both right. It's like, of course there is less need for the junior, but of course those junior probably will need to re-adapt their lives, or the new ones, they're going to be less coming for applying for specifically for that type of job.
But if you're right now thinking about going to university to study, let's say, digital art, maybe I would think about different things to do. Like just, friendly advice. Maybe study economy right now, like entrepreneurship.
Exactly my point. Yes. So exactly, or how to program like artificial intelligence. Next question is for Nikolai. You ready? You want to go with the microphone or without?
It's over battery. You want to?
I can give you. Yeah.
Check. Okay.
Check. You work for Google as a cloud engineer, and you're deeply involved in building technological infrastructures for games, of course, because that's what Google Cloud does. So it's interesting your perspective, exactly how cloud technology and AR they are working together and actually how they can work together to improve game development, because it's not just like the AI itself, but also cloud technologies, right? And especially in things like real-time rendering, for example, or managing multiplayer game dynamics. Like, do you think that there is something there?
Sure, I can give a couple of concrete examples where I see the usage of like technologies that is kind of in the cloud. I don't want to make this like cloud talk at all, but I would probably say there are 2 different approaches to AI for games that is like kind of touching the cloud. One of them is, of course, the generative AI part. So, as you know, cloud providers are fairly famous for hosting large LLMs. Like, I don't know, of course you have, like, on the Microsoft side you have OpenAI stack, we have Gemini on our side, and there are some others that you can host, like open source ones, a bazillion of them right now. So from the LLM point of view, the cloud offers game developers to create quite advanced NPCs. So I see a lot of, nothing is still like production grade going to the market that I've seen, but it's going to happen very soon. So there are some titles being developed with fairly advanced NPCs using generative AI models like from our side, our Gemini. The tricky part there is actually to make it useful. So it's not like engaging in a super simple conversation that you can talk about the weather, it sounds very nice, like a human, but you actually need to make it part of the story of the game. And the tricky part here is, of course, maintaining the state of the game synchronized with the large language model, with the context. So things happen and you need constantly to feed it back. And this training or this adaptation usually happens on a very large clusters of machines. They need a lot of power to do it virtually in real time, especially if it's a multiplayer game. So there are a lot of caveats there. There is also a tendency to offload this to the client side, so to the edge, basically to the console or to the PC. This is very early stage because the new processors from Intel, AMD, Qualcomm are coming with the coprocessors for AI just this year to the massive consumer market. And offloading it to the GPU still takes a big chunk of the performance for rendering, especially on the current gen consoles, so due to memory restrictions and whatnot. So it's also a tricky part. This is why there are so many calls to the cloud, and the problem is it becomes very expensive. We're talking about a multiplayer game that has millions and millions of players. Talking to the NPCs means that it's going to be an expensive build.
There's a shortage also, right, with GPUs?
More or less. I mean, our models don't even depend on the GPUs because we have our tensor processing unit developed by Google. It's fairly used for like, models written in TensorFlow, using TensorFlow framework. But the second part that I see is for the artistic studios. So they're using like Imagen, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and whatnot for basically the way that I see it from the studio perspective. They use it for inspiration. So the artistic teams generate something, and instead of basically copying that, they use it as an inspiration. Most of the times that I see, once again, my vision here is fairly limited, but I saw coming into a room full of artists, they were like generating stuff and saying, okay, can we work with this? Okay, let's try. And then they would give it out actually to some juniors, to some mid, and to senior people to create either a map or create, I don't know, UI components, a lot of approach like that. But this was actually, this particular example is because of the mindset of the leadership. They say, okay, use it, but with a certain restriction, So they would give still freedom for people to work on that stuff. And lastly, the development part, so without LLMs, without images or audio, is the actual development like coding. And here I can be quite opinionated because I'm a developer myself. There's a lot of hype, developers are going away. All of these copilots and our generation tools, they're great assistants. I would call them autocomplete on steroids. They're great for generating some structures of code, doing some, it's called monkey job, generating some stubs, some tests that needs to be reviewed. In that sense, it's quite good. But saying like, oh no, it's gonna code a game for you based on your prompt, this is like not even remotely close right now. Not even in like super fancy schmancy test models that I've seen.
Why?
There is no reasoning in these models. They cannot reason. It's a statistical model. It's an LLM. It can just say what it's seen with some minor tweaks here and there. Fake it till you make it, but it will not make it. So there has to be AGI kind of revolutions at some point, but this is not feasible with the current approach how it's done. So what Google has in their sleeve or OpenAI, we don't know. It's very secretive work, but it's not based on the current large language models at all.
Debugging is super hard.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's kind of like, oh my god, I wrote a couple of prompts, I have code, it's functional, I have some prototype, and then as soon as you hit an issue, you're like, oh my god, fix this issue, and the LM is like, rebuild and everything, like, oh my god, because
this
you
is
don't know,
not
you
the
cannot
this is not the
fix it
use.
yourself.
This is not the use. I mean, you can democratize coding now, and if you are a project manager or a product manager with an idea, you don't have to wait for your team to code it. You can do it yourself, see if it works, and then push it to production based on a new code.
Yeah, prototyping is
prototyping.
Yeah, for prototyping.
But he's saying production-wise, you cannot just switch to those, developers is not going away. Somebody needs to write the final code.
No, for prototyping and writing some basic stuff, look, there is not even, you cannot write a project with that. Have you tried?
I have. I failed miserably, but then again, I was able to do much more than I used to.
Exactly, this is like a autocomplete on steroids. It empowers you to do way more stuff. It's much faster in the context to find.
I did some shaders, some scripts for production,
Exactly.
kind of like replacing the technical art.
But the thing is, like, what I've noticed with me and my colleagues, whenever we're writing something and using those tools to generate, not to assist, but to generate something like a big chunk, then you have to spend all the time double checking everything.
Yeah.
And in that time, you probably would have written it in a better way yourself.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But he's a developer.
Yeah.
So, because if you're generating a picture or an audio or I don't know a certain script by a generative AI model, like for visual part, you can kind of assess it much faster. You look at it and say, you know what, this looks something that I can work with, or it looks great. I mean, except for maybe 6 or 7 fingers that it generates in people sometimes. But besides that, it's usually quite okay. When you're writing logical code and it generates something, you need to be sure that it's actually doing that. And the fallacy here is that, especially like you ask it to write the test, and then the test might fail, or it might work, but you don't know if it's actually testing the false operation of the function, and vice versa. So it helps, but it also can be very time consuming, so I put it somewhere in the, let's see what happens. So far, yeah, useful tool, but let's not start thinking that...
But you're not skeptical that it will happen in the future?
Look, the thing is, the biggest problem I think we can all agree is doing the right prompt. And the right prompt for something complex is actually also very complex. If most people lack the ability to describe what they want. Forget AI, forget everything. Working with people that need to describe what they're trying to develop usually is a very hard part. People are not very good at expressing themselves. So what can we expect from AI if it gets like a really crappy prompt to create magic? No, not really.
This is coming back to, Petr, your question about juniors, right? They cannot formulate what exactly is needed in a structured way. When you are, let's say, on like a director level or senior level, you know how to write the task. You have experience with describing things in a ticket, so other people would understand what you want from them. And this is exactly the way how you should communicate with LLM. It's like you're describing step by step what do you want, as if this would be a junior person.
I think there's more to that. I mean, once you ask AI to come up with a bunch of code, and it just writes it, right? And also you can be very rude, and you can talk rudely to it and say, do it now, bitch. I don't recommend, but I tried that over the polite. You see, I have Google Home in my house, and Google Home stopped listening to my wife's voice, and I think it's because she used to say please. And now she talks like this, Google Home, play music, and maybe it plays it. So, this was not my point. My point is that when...
Still valid though.
Yes, when you ask AI to just write this bunch of code and you're not being polite and it does it immediately, how this would affect your relationship with your developers and say, okay, we need 2 weeks. And like, really? Because this GPT just wrote it to me very, very fast. So maybe it's going to affect ways in the workspace that we are not even realizing right now.
A self-respecting developer will stand up, quit the job, and let the company rot.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of other will stay until eventually it goes into the same direction, just takes a little bit longer.
Okay, we will see. By the way, I do not talk like this to the employees, only to the...
Only to ChatGPT.
Only to ChatGPT.
I'm super nice to all the LLMs because I have a feeling that they might remember, and when there will be a robot revolution and they will strike, I want to be remembered as a nice guy.
They will just put you to bed with pills and not like...
So I will probably rot in hell, because I'm actually go with his approach, because I think it's just a good opportunity to vent at someone finally sometimes. And also I noticed that whenever I'm asking things, right, as you were saying, ask politely, and you get answers. And the way to get it out of this, like to get the machine to get with his head out of their own ass, is just to go like, can you stop bullshitting me, please? Now I want you to do this, and it's the third answer, the third response. I don't like it. You keep telling me something that's complete bullshit. Can you please do exactly what I'm asking? And I noticed, that's a trick maybe for everyone, but I noticed that actually tends to drop the bullshit, because what they try to do, also if you keep talking to them, if you keep talking to them, and they will always tell you that things that you want to hear, for example, right? So actually it's a good approach to at some point to just stop being nice to me. So sometimes I want, for example, to ask to, okay, can you give me ideas that are against my opinion or something like that, and then it never ends up giving me something valuable until I treat him like with
So
this
this
respect.
is how you wrote this wonderful intro.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, the result was quite shit, but in general, that was the first attempt. Mikita, you got screwed a little bit in this because like the next question for you was about since you work in visual direction, you know, like you think AI tools that generate images with impact artists in the gaming world. Are these two collaborators or are they disruptive to traditional art roles?
I mean, we discussed this
exactly.
quite a bit, but yeah, just to kind of like sum up, at least like my point of view, it is a disruption. People would need to find a different way how they see their job and their meaning. Understanding the product that you're building is really important. Whatever you do kind of content-wise, whether it's sound for games, visuals for games, I don't know, animations, you need to start thinking more, like less of it as a piece for your portfolio, and more how does it contribute to the end user? Like how is the player will benefit from it, and how the product will benefit from it. So understanding the business becomes essential, and everybody needs to zoom out.
I'm thinking. So, so this is.
Let's say you build an like a quick example. Let's say we have a shop in the game where we put some kind of offers for the players. Well, before you would be like, oh my god, okay, I got the description. I need to do like the yellow box, and I don't know, this is an offer like Happy New Year -20%, whatever. So. Right now, just executing a beautiful image will not be enough. The person who would be involved in producing this would need to understand, okay, we need to produce things that differentiate in value. These are the previous offers that I made. This is a new offer. Which of them is more expensive? Which of them look more valuable? Do they fit to the theme of the event? So you need to think more about how things are interconnected in the game to produce the right result, because this will be expected from you. Because just producing a random image is not enough anymore.
Yeah, but then how do you do it then?
Well, you study more of the product. You talk to game designers. You collect more information before you do the task. Because just making a prompt and receiving the image is too easy for anyone. But if you really want to succeed in it, you go talk to product lead. You understand what is the meaning of this event, what kind of metrics you want to achieve, like how is this offer different from the rest, and then you try to come up with a visual that represent that. So there is more kind of product design thinking goes into your work than before.
Okay, so while you're saving time on the actual image that you need to, the time that you would have spent in creating this yellow box with 20% off of something, then you need to have more time to investigate around the product, around what you want to do, like checking with other departments, etc., etc. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So also then there is a shift rather than, okay, done, poof, Santa Claus arrived.
Exactly.
Okay.
The same with you're doing the visual effects. If before just doing something flashy, splashy might be enough, right now you really think about the timing of the feedback. What is it a good effect? Is it a bad effect? What kind of how does it visible from other players' perspective in the multiplayer? What kind of effects you want to show, impact? You would need to think about all of it outside of just creating the effect itself.
Okay. Right at this point, is there anyone that has any particular example, something you want to talk to us about, something that happened, some experience, some have questions? If I don't see hands, okay.
You want to pick up on what Mikita said earlier? Maybe you remember, guys, the game Facade from 2005.
Yeah.
It was first kind of AI-driven game built on their own framework, where basically people in this game were talking to you, and what they were saying was generated by AI. But still, at the same time, the big company, they didn't pick up on this idea. Basically, no one picked up on this idea, right? Because it was maybe roughly made, maybe many people didn't understand what was the point of this. Why do you think they idea of it isn't that lucrative for big companies or even for smaller ones. Do you think it's something that end user not ready for, doesn't need right now, or it's just about like the tech itself, the limits of the tech?
It's interesting you brought up Facade. It's a very niche indie project. I think it was a research project.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a very fun game also. But it was interesting. And I think, and this is interesting, whether users, players are really interested in speaking with an NPC. What does an NPC have to tell you? I mean, do you really want to ask them about questions unrelated to the game, or I don't know, do you?
That's a good question.
I mean, we have examples of games, open world games, where the world is living on its own, where you are not the main character, and I think the idea of it is kind of up to date right now, compared to what other games propose to us, where you are the center of it all, right? And the world is around you. So right now, if we compare, just as an example, Cyberpunk and Star Wars Outlaws, right? One game is very live, and the other one is quite dead in terms of like how the world is built, right? So I mean,
I wouldn't tell which is which, actually.
yeah, fair point.
Okay.
But it's an interesting question, nevertheless. I mean,
There are some mods for example, Skyrim. I don't know if you've seen, some folks wrote some Skyrim mods for us, so that's quite an interesting approach. I mean, to my knowledge, they don't change anything in games, it's more like a filler. But it would be interesting to see, and I know some of this stuff is already in development for other titles, where contextually, based on a specific database of things that LLMs can talk about, they will just like be there to entertain you, and at the same time will also change the storyline. So the LLM is somewhat connected to the game engine logic to trigger some things to happen basically in the game. And how it happens, it's non-deterministic. So, I mean, it is to a degree because there will be a limited amount of combinations of things to happen, but how they happen will be decided on the fly by whatever statistically comes out of the LLM.
Do you know Event Zero? Somebody in the crowd?
Event Zero?
Event Zero. It's a game with an LLM before it was cool, about 4 years ago. And basically you were discussing with, you're an astronaut and you're onto this ship, and the ship has a computer that went nuts, which is good because the LLM is not so good. So, and basically it's the interactions with you and the computer. And this was actually a very good game. So check it out.
It's Event, oh yeah, I see.
Event Zero.
Event Zero, oh, why did you say it in Italian? It's like an adventure game.
But back to the question, like why this might be like not picked up by the industry. First of all, you as a developer want to create some predictable scenario to like develop a good experience for your player. So if something depends too much on the actions that LLM takes like shapes your experience, then like a portion of the players might end up in the scenario where the game becomes not fun, or and you want to guide them through the experience that you designed. The second thing is we as humans, we're social creatures and we like to share our experience. So sometimes going in the game through the same experience, oh my god, you beat this boss, he was amazing, have you seen like tentacles and shit, like just sharing this. It's interesting for us because we can discuss like, oh, how did you approach this problem? So there should be some anchors through which we go through and have an experience that we can kind of discuss. And if we go too wild, I think there might be a genre for this, but it's like kind of more of a niche genre, and this might not go mass market because most of us just want simple solutions.
This is why I said like content fillers to a degree. I mean, I can imagine a situation like in a game like a GTA or something open world when random NPCs just have 3 sentences to have like a conversation with them about something completely random. Like imagine you're coming home on a Friday night, a little bit drunk, and you want to play and just like have some fun with some random characters. Yeah, it could be.
But you don't have main quest.
No, not main quest. Like on the side, just like giving a little bit more personality to those like real NPCs that are there, just to fill in the.
However,
make it a little bit more realistic.
just to poke the bear a little bit, but on what he says also, right? But that would theoretically offer the opportunity to have endless content, right? Which is like nowadays, if you want to find funding, of course, there are two magic words that you need to say. It's like either Web3 or, you know, endless content, right? So in that case, no, you're gonna kill me later. Just give me another second. Just poking the bear here, right? So that will allow, you know, for more fun, even though sometimes probably 50% or 70% of the time there will be some useless, meaningless discussion with an NPC, but maybe, you know, maybe every second day you have something meaningful. I don't know.
I think there is a unique opportunity for this. There is a lot of kind of interactions with NPC even in casual games when you have those like kind of fake messengers where, you know, the story is line happening, but not so much. It would be cool if, and it's a lot of work if you kind of try to simulate this. You need like an army of you know, narrative designers and writers to actually produce all this content.
Yeah.
But if, you know, those characters inside the game just remember like your actions, your choices, that would make the experience a lot more personalized. And of course, there is a potential there. And the second thing is, and I think you mentioned this as well, is like difficulty scaling. Like right now in RPG, how at most it's happening, I don't know, the bosses, your enemies, they become just linearly like harder because they have more, I don't know, health, they deal more damage, and this is like very one-dimensional. However, if your opponents would get smarter and smarter by
Your mama jokes.
your mama jokes, but also like just tracking your behavior, like, okay, how you evade from the hits, and you know, try to counteract this. And we can say that they're not learning only on your behavior, but maybe on the subset of, you know, players. And eventually, after every event, every new boss becomes harder because it knows how majority of players behaves in the game. Like this becomes just more interesting in the power progression that you need to kind of fight against.
Yeah, because also when we're talking about the narrative of the game. I mean, I don't know you, everyone, but my experience is there are many games. You know, if I play Far Cry or you know, Dead Island, how many useless interaction are with NPCs where they're, oh, my boy just went out for a run, but now it's like there are zombies all around and your boy went out for a run. Guess who?
But to create like a branching narrative, you actually don't need the LM. I don't know how many of you played Detroit Become Human. Great game. Like you know, there is branching. You actually make decisions. There is like different outcome. There is no LM involved. Like it still feels like you're making choices.
Such a great game.
I agree. Great game. If you haven't played it, you know, Detroit Become Human is like
so
fantastic game. Very actual.
Adding a charming context to your actions, I think LLM will do a brilliant job there. Probably some niche genres will find, I don't know, maybe some survival games. You know, there's potential for extending the narrative there through LLMs, and it will be kind of an interesting quest, you know, how far you get there, like what you will achieve. But definitely not for all the games.
Okay.
I'll probably introduce very briefly a topic that I think might be of interest because we also don't have so much.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
And if it doesn't pick up, we can go to my place because I remember something.
If just for information, if it's going to be one of my questions, then I'm going to have to kill you. But apart from that,
Okay, fair enough. No, actually, I forgot to add one thing where I find the AI useful, not Gen AI, but AI useful in gaming, and there's a lot of evolution around that right now. It's in quality control of the games. So basically the virtual agents. And there are already some projects, some are forked from Google's folks, some of them are from other very bright engineers in the market. We actually showed it was called SEMA, and it was trained on maybe 7-8 games, Farming Simulator, Skyrim and whatnot. And that is a very interesting topic for me and for the studios with whom I work right now. So basically, you just tell the agent, play it and tell me where it sucks. And it does that on your behalf. This is actually quite great, and there is a lot of studies around that right now. There is development from Google's DeepMind and some other companies that I don't remember the name right now. And I think this is where this will be very useful in the next couple of years. Not in NPC talks, not in image generation, but actually playable agents that can give you objective feedback about if the game has some bugs, if you cannot, I don't know, if you get stuck in a tree, or if it's not balanced, or if something is happening. This is actually, I think, where the true, juicy, and valuable thing for studios is. Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you touch balance, and I so agree with this. So, like, yeah, balance is great.
Yeah.
So you really think that you're gonna have like an objective point of view as an LLM?
It's not. It has nothing to do with LLM. It's a completely different thing.
Okay, so sorry.
It's just just pure.
It's
AI.
an agent.
It's an agent. It's an
It's a
AI
proper
model,
agent.
but it's not Gen AI. It's
And
just
you
an
think
AI.
you can get like still like a very objective point of view and also
Even if you can get like for that, at least for the quality control. Imagine you have a massive game. You need so many people, so many beta players, you need so many folks doing different things to see if you get stuck, if you cannot complete the mission, and so on. If you
It's not about how the game is, like the game sucks.
no, it's about
the game has bugs and this is what it
experience
is.
of the game.
so really finding bugs can replace like a
Bugs-
QA.
Yeah, that already exists.
It's not replaced, yeah. that
Not
is
replaced.
company.
It exists. It's not publicly available products yet, but there are things that you can already look up.
Okay.
Just to add to, a
Yeah.
friend of mine works at Keywords, and I
Yeah.
think they purchased a company which did exactly that. They would just run lots of instances of the game and report back, but it was definitely a quality control perspective. But his view was it's going to destroy kind of human quality control business because it's just so effective.
I do not believe that. But I mean, yes. I mean, sorry. I think so. Yes and yes, you're right, and I know it. I know it firsthand actually, and I think it does an excellent job. Like I know it now. I kind of like relate to it. You want to say add something?
Yeah, I want to add something. I don't think it actually will destroy. I think it will improve for one simple reason. Currently, how the massive, like big games are being tested in the sense you have free workforce, which are players playing pre-release games, reporting all of that in the text form, and some poor bastards have to read through that, go to that game, and try to reproduce in that specific space, which makes it much harder. So I think it will be a lot of free work will disappear and will be for the same QA, like real people, much easier to be pointed to that particular point in time with visual clues right away.
Yeah. And
That's my perspective.
No, no, absolutely. I think so. Yes, it's doing an excellent job. And so when I'm talking about QA, so quality assurance, I think it's gonna do more. But there is still like a huge component of the human. I can give you a first-hand example. So back in going back like 10, 15 years, I don't even remember. We were testing an SBK game. SBK is Superbike game, right? So motorcycles. For those who don't know what that is, and I remember that we managed to find a bug that was even the developers. Milestone was the developer. They told us how in the world you came up with a bug. So basically, imagine. So it was like 12 at the same time. I think 12 people at the same time. And we did all the race, right? But at some point, so we passed the finish line, right? So we passed the finish line. We go further. All 12 together, of course we coordinated this, and then we decided let's go because you could go like backwards with the bikes, and so we decided to go into the pit lane not from this side, not from the part before, but afterwards, and we went all backwards. When the last one was crossing the finish line, boom, crash, right? So that is still like a great example, in my opinion, that explains why humans will always be there. Kind of in the same, similar, relatable way that we're talking about juniors, seniors, blah, blah, blah. I really think that there's still going to be. But yes, if this is good, and I'm sure whatever is out there now is developing. And if it's developing, it's going to get only better. So I'm sure this probably is going to replace, a big chunk of the work that needs to be done manually today. But when it comes to quality assurance, me personally, if I had a game development studio, I still would like, okay, you did all this with AI. Now give me like 20 guys that for a couple of weeks they will check it, and then we'll just try to do like what is called destructive testing or negative testing or whatever you wanna call it. There are many terminologies. Make sense?
For your
Sure.
company.
I buy that.
Sorry?
For your company, I don't know. It seems like a great idea that I would like to have automatic testing for the games.
Yeah.
It seems amazing, yes.
Yeah, of course. Let me see, mindful of time. We have 5 minutes. I had like one question for Dori.
Oh.
Nikita, the last one for you, I think it just opens up a whole new world of conversation. So I think we were going to talk like scalability of gameplay. You want to try to touch upon that topic in 5 minutes? You think you can be that nice to the world?
But we talked about it already. Like we talked about, you know,
Oh, right.
The narrative part, the scale of difficulty. I mean, we
Okay. And then there's like the question for Dori. It's about gamification. Yeah, tomorrow. Gamification strategy. I have words. I have problems saying it. Strategies in non-game areas, because I know you have like experience. So like education or marketing. Do you think there are challenges that AI can help solve? Like.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. No, really, because I started playing the bass 6 months ago. And
The bass?
The bass.
Okay. I thought it
Yes.
was a game. Okay.
No, not the game. I also play instruments. So to keep me motivated doing all the exercises, I built a game with AI because I can't code properly, and I did all the gamification scheme that I know, and now I have it like on my computer, and it tracks my progress and it saves, you know. And this was a breeze to make. I did it like in a couple of hours, and I'm using it. So this is now in the hands of everyone. And the next thing I'm going to do is to keep track on my kids' screen time, just to give them some kind of like what you, and everybody is able to do it now. So I think that this is definitely happening.
Wow. I'm sure that you do that normally. I'm sure your wife is very happy about you like programming after working hours.
Yeah, I never stopped working, actually.
Yeah,
This
that's-
is topic for a different.
So I'm sure she's very happy.
She is happy to live with me. Yes, she
Like,
is.
just leave me alone. Go program
She
something.
actually works for my company.
Oh, okay. That's cheating. Okay. So since there are like 4 minutes left, I would say if anyone has questions or has something to point out, experience rather, and you want to share with us, like 5, 4, okay, no need to finish the countdown. So I would say thank you very much. Yeah, that's the end of the day.
That's the end of day one.
That's the end of day one. Thank you very much.
Shall we make a picture?
Yes, let's do it. Can someone be so kind? Can you guys be so kind and take a picture of us?
What?
Okay, you take a picture of the. You just send it us too.
Yes, of course. Just let me go behind you. Sit down maybe. Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's censored. You can always edit it.
It's
okay.
AI will edit it.
Thank you. גיא, אז רוצה לדבר על